Platinum gourami is a beautiful color morph of the three-spot gourami Trichopodus trichopterus. It is one of the more subtle color varieties, with its white body having soft yellow or silver undertones and a deeper toned striped patterning along the back. There is still a hint of marbling visible on this species, but it lacks the two dark spots seen on its parentage. This pretty fish, sometimes called the silver gourami, will make a gorgeous addition to a community. The platinum gouramis, like all the variants of this species, are generally considered a good community fish when small. But when they get large, they are often not as peaceful as the other gouramis. They have been known to attack smaller fish, and males can become belligerent or territorial. The best tank mates are other fish that are of similar size and temperament. Three-spot gourami Trichopodus trichopterus was described by Pallas in 1770 and is found widespread throughout continental Southeast Asia and Indonesia. The platinum gourami is a man-made variant of the three-spot gourami. It first appeared in the aquarium industry in 1970. Another common name it is known by is the silver gourami. The majority of the available specimens are commercially bred in the Far East and Eastern Europe. In nature, the three-spot gouramis occur in lowland wetlands. They are found in marshes, swamps to peatlands, as well as flowing streams and canals. They inhabit shallow waters that are sluggish or standing still, but with a lot of aquatic vegetation. They are omnivorous in nature and feed on crustaceans, insect larvae, and zooplankton. This is a hardy fish and has long been recommended as a good choice for the beginner. They are undemanding and can tolerate a range of tank conditions within reason, and will accept a wide variety of foods. They are normally marketed as community fish, but take caution that as these fish age they can become a bit nippy. Platinum gouramis are omnivorous. In the wild they feed on crustaceans, insect larvae, and zooplankton. In the aquarium, these fish will generally eat all kinds of live, fresh, and flake foods. To keep a good balance, give them a quality flake or pellet food as the base to the diet. Supplementation should include white worms, bloodworms, brine shrimp, or any other suitable substitute. Fresh vegetables can be offered as well, blanched lettuce being a good option for many aquarists. Generally feed once or twice a day. An interesting characteristic of the three-spot gourami varieties is that they are well known for eating hydra. The hydra is a tiny pest that has tentacles with a venom. They will capture very small fish and paralyze them with the venom, and then hold them fast with the tentacles until eaten. If you have a hydra problem in your aquarium, here is your solution. These gouramis are extremely hardy fish. Although the labyrinth organ allows the fish to survive in oxygen-depleted water, it is a common misconception that this makes water changes unnecessary. This is hardly the case, as these fish will suffer the same tissue damage from built-up toxins as any other fish. Regular water changes are a must, with 25% weekly being recommended. The platinum gourami will swim in all parts of the tank. When young, they can easily housed in a 15 to 20 gallon aquarium, but adults will need at least 35 gallons or more. It is desirable to keep the tank in a room with a temperature as close as possible to the tank water to prevent damaging the labyrinth organ. The tank should have an efficient filtration system, but should not to create too much of a current. This fish will be bothered by a strong current in the tank, especially if the tank is small. Air stones can help provide well-oxygenated water. These gouramis will show their colors best on a dark substrate. The tank should be decorated in a way which allows both the dominant and quieter personality type fish to live happily. This means the construction of a few hiding places and some dense plant cover. This species appreciates the cover of floating plants, however they will regularly breathe air at the surface, so it's important to have some areas unencumbered with plants. Platinum gouramis are generally considered good community fish when small, but they are not as peaceful as the other gouramis. They have been known to attack smaller fish. When they get older, only keep them with fish their own size. Individuals will show varying degrees of aggression. Some will be very belligerent and will handle their tank mates quite roughly. Others will be peaceful to the point of shyness. The aquarist should be prepared to adapt their tank to suit all personality types. A mix of neutral personalities is an ideal goal for the range of tank mates. You should not include fish which will provoke this species into aggression, as they are often passionate fighters. Fin nippers and gouramis should absolutely never be mixed. The trailing pelvic fins and generally slower movement of this gourami make it the perfect victim for nippers. The platinum gourami is also a skilled hunter, and extremely small fish or fish fry rarely last long. Good tank mates for this fish are robust cyprinid species like barbs, but avoid those that are notorious fin nippers like tiger barbs and clown barbs. Other good selections include larger characins, loricariid catfish from South America, and loaches. They can be kept with other medium to large gouramis, but bullying between gouramis is a likely scenario. Bullying between gouramis is a likely scenario as these fish, typical of the family, are fixated on constantly working out the details of the hierarchy. Male platinum gourami has a longer and more pointed dorsal fin, while the female's is shorter and rounded. Like most labyrinth fish, the platinum gouramis are bubble nest builders. Breeding is fairly easy, and providing a breeding tank that is to their liking is perhaps the biggest challenge. A pair will be most likely to spawn if there is a fair amount of plants, a good-sized surface area, and the temperature is to their liking. Prior to spawning, they should be well conditioned with small offerings of live and frozen foods several times a day. When well fed, females should begin filling out with eggs, appearing very plump. An individual breeding tank of 10 to 20 gallons or more should be set up. A shallow water level is not as critical for this fish as it is for other labyrinth fish species, but it can be kept at about 5 to 6 inches. Normal water parameters are fine, but raise the temperature to about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. You can add a small gently air-powered sponge filter or some peat filtration, but the tank current should be minimal. Many aquarists find that floating plants, or stem plants grown to the surface, or any other floating debris will help keep the bubble nest in place. A healthy pair of adults should be introduced into the breeding tank. The male will spend a lot of time building a large bubble nest, usually in a corner. Once the nest had been built, the male will begin a courtship display to entice the female to spawn. He will swim back and forth, flaring his fins and raising his tail until the female allows him to wrap his body around hers, and the two will spawn. Their eggs, as well as the fry, are lighter than water and float to the top and be deposited in the nest. If the female was well filled out, the spawn can be huge, between 700 to 800 eggs. The female must be removed after the eggs are produced, or she risks being killed by the male. The male will tend the nest and guard the eggs until they hatch. After hatching, the fry will soon emerge from the nest and become free swimming. This is when the male should be removed, or he might eat the fry which emerge from the nest. Free swimming fry can be fed infusoria or a liquid fry food until they are large enough to eat baby brine shrimp. Platinum gouramis are very hardy, so disease is not usually a problem in a well-maintained aquarium. Some diseases they are prone to are bacterial infections, constipation, and hole in the head if good water quality, nutrition, and maintenance is not provided. With any additions to a tank such as new fish, plants, substrates, and decorations, there is a risk of introducing disease. It's advisable to properly clean or quarantine anything that you want to add to an established tank prior to introduction, so as not to upset the balance. These fish are very resilient, but knowing the signs of illness, and catching and treating them early makes a huge difference. An outbreak of disease can often be limited to just one or a few fishes if you deal with it at an early stage. The best way to proactively prevent disease is to give your fish the proper environment and a well-balanced diet. The closer to their natural habitat, the less stress the fish will have, making them healthier and happy. A stressed fish is more likely to acquire disease. Platinum gourami is usually available both in stores and online and is moderately priced, but it is not as widely available as the other color variations of this species.